Okay, this is me opening American Girl doll Grace Thomas in 2015. At that point, I had no idea that the actress starring as Grace with the luminescent blue contacts would be the singer I highly considered dropping like $200 to see on a Tuesday night in LA. I didn't actually get tickets. Anyway, it's Olivia Rodrigo. We're doing Guts tour outfits. There are 4 main outfits, with each having different alterations throughout the tour. The outfit she opens with is this custom Swarovski crystal 2-piece set. There's 2 top variations and 2 skirt variations. I chose the straighter top and the skirt that looks more pleated. That might have been a mistake. More on that in a bit. So, fabric. I don't have Swarovski cash on me right now, but I still wanted that really sparkly look. I couldn't find anything at local stores. Even if they had rhinestone fabric, it was rarely in this silver crystal color. I originally bought this, the closest thing I could find, but it wasn't even enough fabric with the pink gradient on the top, and it just wasn't great in general. So I splurged a little, but I think I accidentally got the wrong type of fabric. I got these stiffer rhinestone sheets instead of like a more fluid fabric-y piece. Hopefully it looks okay to you though. I started by drafting the top haphazardly on myself with muslin, as I tend to do. That led to something like this, and then I made the whole top with muslin and added cups by hand sewing them down. I was very scared to machine sew the rhinestone fabric, and I didn't really know if I could yet. I thought I would hot glue an uncut piece of fabric over that, but yeah, I hate how this looks. The top edge is so messy, so I undid the hot glue. I cut straps and sewed the rhinestone fabric to the muslin piece with straps in between. It looked a little better to me, but there's still many issues. At least it only broke 1 needle. Let's move on to the skirt for a bit. So it gives the appearance of a pleated skirt, but when she moves around you can tell it's just a bunch of long rectangles placed on 2 layers. The back part is on mesh, or maybe organza fabric. So I cut out a lot of rectangles. 1 wide one for the waistband, then a lot of smaller ones for the skirt. I cut them 13 inches long, but that ended up wasting a lot of fabric because I cut them to 10 inches later. Also, I got this mesh from the thrift store. It's a little tutu. Place the back layer of rectangles on the mesh first, trying to match the image, and then I added the top layer and hand sewed it all to the mesh along the waistline. I cut a random piece of gray fabric for lining of the waistband and sewed that all to look clean. Next is sewing the waistband to the main skirt pieces really carefully. I don't have that many needles. I ended up using the pieces I cut off when shortening the skirt for the back part of the top, just aligning them to look seamless with hot glue and a little sewing. I sewed the lining piece to that too. Also, I made this top way too damn short. It's tiny, but I made it surprisingly secure by adding eyelets on the end to tighten it up on me. To finish up, I cut the mesh part at the bottom using the dress form I just got. I didn't need to do that, but I just want to use this thing every time I can. And I sewed on the sides of each bottom layer rectangle piece to the mesh, and I added a zipper without a zipper foot, so it's a little janky. But now for the finished look. This definitely turned out better than I expected, even though, like I said, there's issues. I maybe should have cut the pieces a little less wide so there'd be more to place. But look at that sparkle, man. That's my favorite part. She sings Bad Idea Right and Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl in this outfit on tour, and those are probably some of my favorites on the album. I think it threw me for a loop the first time I heard it in September 2023. I felt like I was gonna die right there. The next outfit was the easiest by far. Well, kind of. It's this black sequin bralette and short set. There's a few variations. Sometimes she has this non-sequin part on the sides and a scalloped waistband. I think this is the more common version, but I just didn't like it as much. The other that I really wanted to do was this leather studded version. It looks a lot like the outfit she's doing on tour right now, but she didn't wear it that much. The black sequin fabric was pretty easy to find in stores. I used a bralette I already had from an Aeropostale, I think, for the shape. I traced out the main shape and then I followed the lines on the original to make these cuts. I cut out each piece on the sequin fabric and on a basic black lining fabric. I sewed the pieces in place and I made straps out of the lining so I could sew that in between the bra lining and the main pieces to finish. I forgot to film this, but I also put in some bra cups in there to hold its shape. To finish it off, I just folded a long piece for the waistband and I sewed these bra clips onto it. I've never used bra clips. It was easy and fun and I like them. For the shorts, I traced some boy short underwear and I got this. There's no seam in the front, so you cut on a fold over here. I cut that out on the sequin fabric and then the stretchy lining, and then I sewed that right sides together, leaving the top part open. Once I turned it out, I folded the top part down and I fit in elastic to make the waistband. I put in a zipper and it was pretty much done. Okay, so before I reveal, on top of this outfit, when she's all sitting on the moon, she wears a dress. The more common one, I think, is this black rhinestone Swarovski dress. I actually like this version a little better, but I couldn't find great fabric that looked like it, especially with black rhinestones. The other version is this clear sequin dress with silver gems. It looked potentially DIYable. So I started off with around 200 sequins that were size 30mm. If you're doing this, please buy more, like another 100 definitely. I started by using a 1/16 hole punch to impale each sequin 4 times. I was so slow at this at first. I would mark it and then I would spend like 5 minutes on every hole to make sure I didn't mess it up. I arranged the first few layers how I wanted them, and then I brought out the big bag of 9mm jump rings and pliers and began plying away, and more and more and more and more and more and more. I already knew my stash of sequins was light from the start, so I did the front first. It was fun, but at one point it felt like it would never end. I watched a little Cobra Kai, Project One Way, Six in the City, but alas, I was still less than halfway. Once I reached the end of my pack, I had to turn to any piece of clear plastic I could find, which meant I had to buy and eat this vanilla cake from Vaughn's and also some cookies. I made the back go down in a deeper triangle shape, similar to the original, which is also what helps me get into the dress. I just hot glued on these rhinestones, and several have fallen off since. And this is the whole look. Okay, my sequin dress is way shorter, I know, but at least it's cute. At one point, I had to stop justifying buying grocery store desserts. I wanted it to at least go past the outfit in the front, and it didn't really work that way in the back, but it's fine. Surprisingly, not the worst thing I've worn on a college campus. I went out with my friends to have a whole photo shoot for this look.
So how do you feel about being in the cast of Severance? Wait.
We spent so much time on the sequin dress that I didn't really get to the outfit underneath, but this is it. I like it. It turned out pretty cute. I thought the red outfit was the only one that never changed, but apparently there was a magenta version. Anyway, it's this halter romper jumpsuit. I have no idea because I am bad with terminology, but going into this, I thought it would be a lot more straightforward than it was. I think it was actually the hardest to get the fit right. The fabric, there was a lot of shiny red fabric, but it was mostly stretchy, and it doesn't look like hers is that much, so I bought this less stretchy fabric. I think it's called metallic red tissue lame. I just looked that up right now. I was a bit too trigger happy though. I just cut out pieces that looked like they would work based on the same boy shorts and nothing else really, but I didn't trace them right. I needed to cut out a piece that went out for the crotch area like I did with the other shorts, but I didn't do that. Here I am cutting out these pieces I patterned, and I end up using that as you see here, but that didn't work or fit at all. Most of my problems would be solved by making mock-ups out of like cheap muslin or something, but I hate mock-ups. I get so bored. That is why I make so many mistakes though. But for the halter part, I just drew out a piece and I tested it on my body. The shape already looked fine, so I cut that out for 2 pieces each and then I sewed. Once I turned them out, I stuffed in bra cups and then I hand sewed the cups to the back. So I ended up redoing the main body piece. Still no mock-up, but I measured and I fixed the crotch part. I cut on the bias this time because I wanted it to be able to stretch more, just a little more. I sewed the new pieces together with a zigzag stitch, and I did this all twice, 1 piece for the main and 1 piece for the lining. Then I sewed those 2 pieces together in place at the bottom. So on the original, there's these double welt pockets, so I had to figure out how to do double welt pockets. I looked up some tutorials and I did a few tests. I was really scared this would ruin it, so I didn't just wing it this time. But basically, you mark where you want it to go and place a piece of fabric about this size over with the markings transferred. This box here should be the size of the pocket you want. I ended up making it smaller with each test until each pocket side was about 1/4 in size. So you sew this box first and then cut in the middle here, but leave the triangle pieces when you cut, like this. By the way, I only sewed on the main piece, not the lining, but I added a piece of fabric on the back to make it sturdier. You stuff everything in the hole and then create pockets by folding, then pin and sew around the hole to keep them in place. Okay, body piece is done, so I sewed the halter pieces to it and top stitched. I sewed the back parts together and added a zipper. My zipper wasn't long enough though, so I added an eyelets to lace it up for the top part, and then it was done. I'm just gonna say I did not get much footage of this. I think the fit is okay. It's maybe too booby, but that's like everything I make. I quickly stepped outside in this outfit and met another squirrel. Not the same one, I'm sure. This one found solace in a trash can and looked at me with a violent hunger. Maybe because I looked like a bright red apple and they wanted a bite. I'm not sure if squirrels like apples like that, but that's the leading theory. This is probably the most recognizable look of the tour. It has rhinestone black shorts, a red bra, and a white tee over it with words that change every show. I bought this red bra in a pack at Ross. guts. It's Juicy Couture. I also bought the basic white tank from a thrift store. I'm trying to force myself to not have to hand make absolutely everything. But with that, the majority of my time on this went to the shorts. The fabric I found in store, it was a black stretchy fabric with glued rhinestones. The rhinestones are way more sparsely placed than hers are, but at this point I just decided to live with it because there were a few other options. I used the same pattern as the black sequin shorts and cut it out. I cut out a lining piece, but before I sewed those together I removed rhinestones on the edges with isopropyl alcohol so it wouldn't harm my machine. I flipped that out and sewed the shorts together at the back. My fabric was so stretchy that I didn't use a zipper, but if you make this, just add one. It's easier to get on. Then, unfortunately, it was time to bedazzle a lot more. Like, I thought I got used to rhinestoning with the chaperone outfit, but it felt like I placed at least 1,000 on here. Checking the timestamps on these clips is so grim. This was at 12 p.m. and then this one was at 11:45 p.m. the same day. I usually stopped when the glue got too strong. Do this in a well-ventilated space. Crack open a window, please. When I ran out of rhinestones, I would just use the alcohol again to remove it from the fabric and then get to gluing. Finally reaching the back felt so gratifying. I did vertical lines of rhinestones first and then horizontal till it was finally, or mostly, all done. Good enough, anyway. Next was the shirt. I thought a lot about what I would write on this. Sometimes she has puns, her lyrics, or anything, really. Sometimes it relates to the city. I didn't want to try and fail at a pun, but I wanted it to relate to me. And Olivia and I have at least one thing in common. We were both homeschooled. So I used part of the title of track 5 for my tee. I think I just searched Olivia Rodrigo font and found something I liked, but I put it on my laptop screen to the size I wanted and traced it on paper first because I thought it would be easier. I don't know if that was. I couldn't really see it through the shirt in normal lighting, so I placed it back on the laptop screen to trace with a pen. There are better ways to do this, I'm sure. Once that was done, I filled it in with my purple pen too, and I tried it on to see where I wanted the crop. I cut it, I pinned it, and I top stitched twice with a very narrow zigzag stitch, and that was done. She also has this red heart necklace. I ended up finding this keychain at a thrift store, which works pretty great. I just added a necklace cord I already had, and the encore look was done. I used these star tights for the red outfit too. I do not like them. They got a weird part on the back that's hard to hide. I should have just made my own, but it worked okay for the look. In this outfit, I went to the mall to try to find anything Olivia-y, which is pretty easy when there's a hot topic right there. There were a lot of shirts. Some I liked, but I didn't buy them because they were $25. I also went to Claire's just for fun, and they had these deja vu brutal friendship bracelets that caught me by surprise. They were cute. And that was the end of my Guts experience. Thank you for watching. This video was taking so long for me to make, and I didn't anticipate that at all. I started the first outfit in like October. Also, I edited like a 90s magazine spread-esque thing for the Guts Tour outfits that I sold, so if you want to see that, you can look at my Instagram. Thank you.